What's up, everyone? It is your girl GELBEAUTY87 here, aka Grace, and today we're gonna get into ranking all the palettes I tried this year. So I ended up leaving 2 behind, so we actually have 75. It's supposed to be 77, but I ran off and left the Pat McGrath, the quad that she came out with, the pink one, the 4-pan that Morgan Turner showed. I left that behind, and I also left behind the Flirty Talk palette, which you think I wouldn't have forgot because I specially customized mine, but I left that behind. So those are the 2 you won't see in here, but I would put the Flirty Talk pretty high up, but I'd put the quad like pretty low down if anyone's interested. I might insert like a spot in the video where I can put both of them. We'll see depending on how I feel with this goes, but there's like 6 piles, this palette stack that we need to get into. So girl, let's get into it, okay? Okay. So number 75 is the Too Faced Cosmic Crush palette. This sucked. Like, it was awful. I'm glad I got it 50% off. I know, what is it? What's her name? I think her name is Steph Loves. I think that's her name. She talked about how bad this was. But I had already bought it by then, so I didn't know. I should have watched the reviews beforehand. But it was 50% off, and I told you all if you went 50% off, like they normally do, I would buy it. So I ended up buying it, and I thought it sucked. Like, this is horrible. This is the one, like, dual chrome, multi-chrome shade, and it wasn't even all that. And just as a whole, like, this isn't the quality that they have in the natural Born This Way ones. So it's horrible, and even at 50% off, don't buy it. I did end up getting the maple sugar pancake or maple syrup pancake or whatever, because Morgan Turner said the formula on that is really nice, so we'll see. But she said the formula on that wasn't as bad, and I personally disagree. So number 74 is the Too Faced Italian Spritz. Now mine did show up broken, so that might be why I'm a little bitter, but I just thought the quality of this wasn't that great compared to other things. As you can see, my black showed up broken, and then they said they sent me a thing back, and then I have to buy it again in this whole thing. And I had bought it at 50% off on their website, so I wasn't going to go through all that again. Then have to pay regular price for it just because they sent it broken. So I kept it like this. I tried it. I wasn't impressed. Like, the color story of this is probably the best color story they've come out with this year besides the maple syrup pancake one, but the quality just is lacking. It is not all that. It's mediocre for a high-end formula, and it's just no. So number 73 is the Nomad Verona Amore Immorte palette. Shout out to my girl Dionluvsmakeup. She is the reason I got this. She could not use all the shades in here, so she did her video and then she passed it on to me so I can give you all the video. But I actually really do like the color story of this. The problem with this, honestly, it's just the shimmers. Like, the shimmers are too hard pressed and I'm not feeling it. So the color story is amazing. I mean, I don't necessarily care about this monochromatic side. I'm more concerned about this side. If they had made them 2 palettes, if they had just made them 1 big palette together, I'd like that better. However, you know, the quality on the mattes is fine. It's just the shimmers. If the shimmers hadn't been so hard pressed, I would definitely put this higher up because I love the color story. I love the graphics. I love, like, you know, the idea of this palette. I just don't love the formula. Like, it is not giving. I am not living. Let me put these things back in the worst products of 2023 video. Spoiler alert, they gonna be in there, y'all. Okay, so that was number 73. Number 72 is this Sydney Grace Raspberry Kisses palette. There's nothing wrong with the formula of this per se. It's just, it's really similar to the Pat McGrath palette. Y'all know I gave you a review on it earlier, and it's just the Pat McGrath palette gives me more depth, and I wasn't as crazy about this one as I was about that one. So you'll see that one later on. It's just, I don't know, to me they always do these nude boring color stories that I'm just not excited about. So it's not the formula with this, it's more of the color story and preference. And then at the end of the day, y'all know I'm a colorful queen, so this isn't giving, and then it doesn't have like a lot of special shades and stuff like Pat McGrath does. At least when she does a color story like this, it's really boring. She always gives you some special shade or some special sparkle, and the mattes are really nice. If you all remember, I was talking about how this brown wasn't really doing that much for me in the outer V, and how the Pat McGrath one was deeper too. So that was another thing. It's like it's one deep shade in here for me to use, and it's not even giving as much depth as I would prefer it to. So that's why this one was as low as it was for me. And that's the box as well. Okay, so next we have the Dreams Come True palette. This is the Snow White and ColourPop. I redid mine because I didn't like the shimmery black shade. I know it's supposed to be like her hair or whatever, but I just wasn't feeling it. So I took that out, and I think I changed one other thing in here. So I like it okay. It's just like there are better formulas out there and better palettes out there, in my personal opinion, that ColourPop has come out with. So this one wasn't it for me, and it was very disappointing. It was a lot of bad ColourPop for me this year, believe it or not. I had like 2 bad ColourPops, and I have 2 good ColourPops. Anyway, into the what is this, the ColourPop Lavish palette. Mine is the same as Angie. She said she had an issue where it was pressed too hard. I feel like that must have been the issue with mine as well, because like I don't feel like this was the quality that they normally give. I added this shade. This shade didn't come in here, but like I just don't feel like this was the ColourPop quality that I'm used to and accustomed to, like the good formula or even the mediocre formula. To me, this was the low quality formula, and they thought with a nice color story and packaging that it would, you know, like just be passable, and it wasn't. Like I thought this was bad, so that's why it is where it is. Next one we have is, this is my first time trying this brand too, as far as eyeshadows go. So this is JCat Beauty Junk Roar palette. Now, y'all know the saying, like, it's okay for a drugstore eyeshadow, and that's definitely what this is. I feel like this is okay for a drugstore eyeshadow, but that's the problem. Like, I have so much eyeshadow that saying it's okay for a drugstore eyeshadow just isn't going to cut it. And I was kind of disappointed because I know Andrea Montanaro was raving about how great quality this was, and I just didn't get the same quality that she's been getting from it. So maybe I need to buy the ones in a little plastic packaging, because those are the ones she raved about. She didn't rave about this one per se, so that could just be a me thing and I picked up the wrong kind of formula from them. But I wasn't that impressed with them. It was fine, like I said, for the drugstore, but it's like when you have as many palettes as I do, it's fine for the drugstore, isn't going to be okay, because ColourPop makes better eyeshadows than this, and you can technically pick up ColourPop at Target, which is a more affordable place to pick up things, not literally the drugstore. But I don't know, that this one just didn't do it for me, so that's why it's as low as it is. Now this one I feel like y'all shouldn't be surprised by either, just because I told you didn't really need it. And this is actually a good dupe for the Mystical Garden that came out from Give Me Glow, if anyone's interested. This is the Milk Cosmetics Electric palette. So if you already bought this year, you don't need to buy the Mystic Garden from Give Me Glow, because I mean, these color stores are extremely similar, so there's not really a point. Now, I was not a fan of the formula of this. You had to build it up, and then I thought the colors weren't that, you know, exciting or interesting. I feel like they did the same thing they normally do. You got the warm tone side and you got the cool tone side. It's like, how many times are you supposed to do some warm tone, cool tone side and expect me to be excited? So I was disappointed in this one. The Christmas ones are going to be a little higher up, just because I feel like they did have like better color stories and a little better quality when it came to shimmers. But overall, like, this one was just like a letdown, and I'm just kind of like, I kind of want to redo that one over. I have a couple of palettes in here I'm thinking about redoing over for the new year, so you might get a video on them, because I know you all like to see when I recreate them and what my process is. Next, we have the Unearthly Cosmetics Surrender palette. There wasn't necessarily anything wrong with this. It's just, it's boring. Like, for Unearthly Cosmetics, we all know this is boring. I've told you all before, you can look at this as quads. So like, this is the most interesting quad to me in this palette, that one, and then maybe like this one next. And then you have like this neutral boring one here. But like overall, this kind of reminded me of her version of like the Love palette from Natasha Denona. That's what it gave me. And it's fine quality. It's just, again, I have to go on color stories and other things, and realistically how often I'm going to reach for it. And I'm not going to reach for this that often because of what color story it is. Especially when I have a whole bunch of Pat McGrath and stuff that has similar color stories and ideas to it, that has special shades and other things. So the formula's fine and everything. It's just, it's a boring color story. Next, I have my Tom Ford Eye Color Quad in the shade Electric Cherry. If y'all remember, I told you all this was going to be in a disappointing video or ranked low down, just because, like, I mean, I like the colors in here, but the problem with Tom Ford is he gives more of a satiny, sheeny finish to it. These aren't like the metallic ones he does, all those, what are you talking about? The wet to dry formula where you can like put it on wet and it gives you an extra oomph to the eye. Like, this isn't that, so it was just kind of disappointing, and especially at the price point it was extremely disappointing. So yeah, you definitely going down low, because honey, for the price point that he charged, and I feel like everything should be amazing, and this was not it. In fact, let me put this in the disappointing box, because I'll surely disappointed for that price point, honey. Like, they need to not, no, put this in the disappointing product box as well. Move right on along. So next, we have the Charlotte Tilbury, the Beautyverse palette. Now, I was not a fan of this, if you all remember. I just feel like it's really neutral and boring, and the shades I was excited about didn't really do as much as I was hoping. I mean, the silver in here is really nice, but that's like the rest of the shades, the purples and stuff that I was supposed to put with these neutrals to make it look like something, didn't do that much for me. And it's like, I have other silvers that are just as nice as this and didn't cost $75. So to me, this was very disappointing because of the price point it was, and then how mediocre it was for the price point it was. I feel like I just need to give up on trying to buy eyeshadows from her, because I feel like the majority of the time when I buy them, I'm never really that impressed. And like, the darkest shade in here to me wasn't that dark, even when I built it up. So that's another issue. Like, I want a deep enough shade that works for the outer V if I'm going to have to use these neutral palettes, because I know that's the only deepening shade I'm going to get. And the fact that it didn't give me enough depth, I really was disappointed by. So next we have the Natasha Denona Love Face palette. This is what she looks like on the inside. I was not that impressed with this. I don't feel like anybody really was. I heard this got leaked by accident, and then she just ended up coming out with it because some other website had already sold it. This blush doesn't really work that well for people my skin tone. The highlighter is okay. It's not great compared to the other individual highlighters she has and highlighters in past palettes. These eyeshadows are really nice, but I'm feeling like I'm supposed to compare this palette as a whole, and just as a whole it doesn't do it compared to her other ones. Like the original face palette she came out with, what is the medium to dark one, is a whole lot better than this one, and that's what I'm judging it based upon. So that's why this one is so low down. Put that in the disappointment book. Okay, I'm just going to do these two HB Tape palettes together. So I have these two. I ended up finding this on Macari for a reasonable price, and it was Smoky Rose, and I'd never seen them do a mauve tone palette before, so I wanted to try it out. It was okay. It wasn't that exceptional. I feel like there's a lot of light shades going on here, but I'm not really going to use that often. Like this whole little 5 section right here, a lot of those are pretty light, and that's not going to give me that much to do with. Then I didn't understand the random reds in here. If it's supposed to be smoky, what am I supposed to be doing with these random reds? Then the like deepest black shade that I would like to use with this, it has a sequin in it. So there's just a lot going on here that I'm not necessarily crazy about, but I wanted to see if the formula was the same. So the formula is the same quality as they normally do. It wasn't like a change of quality like they do, you know, sometimes when they put them in the what are those boxes, the BoxyCharm boxes or whatever, or the Ipsy bags. I feel like sometimes people say the quality changes. So with this one, the quality didn't change, but I don't think this went in there. I think this was just a limited edition thing they sold and then got rid of. It's nice. It's just not giving what I wanted it to give for what they charge for their palettes, because there's too many things in there that I don't necessarily love and care about, which is why I bought it on Macari and didn't necessarily buy it in person, and you never actually saw a video on this. But it's something I tried on my own time because I was just like, I don't know how I feel. The same thing with the Begonia palette. So this was the one I was most excited about of all of them. I feel like this is what all of us were excited about. I don't like how tiny the pants are. I know Heather Austin said the same thing. She didn't like how skinny the pants were. I really don't like that. And plus the color story kind of let me down because this shade wasn't doing as much as I was hoping it would do on the lid. I thought it was going to be like that wet metallic looking on the lid, and I feel like it doesn't give that. I feel like it gives more like a satinish type of effect that I wasn't going for. And then like these shades in the front, like basically this is basically a miniature version of the Unearthly Cosmetics palette. If you haven't called that, this is a miniature version of the Unearthly Cosmetics Devour palette, which I actually do have and are giving you all a video on. You haven't seen it yet, but I will definitely be comparing this to that. But I just don't feel like the quality of this was as great as some other stuff they have, or maybe it's just I'm irritated by the small pants. I don't know which one it is, but either way, that's why it's so low to the bottom. So next we have the Retro Love palette from Beauty Bay. I feel like they didn't come out with a lot this year, which I'm kind of disappointed by, because they usually have more palettes come out, and the ones they did have come out seem to be a lot of neutral things. So I feel like they're in that we're going to play it safe role to make sure that people still buy our stuff, because I feel like a lot of brands are doing that, which I'm kind of not liking, because it's, but at the same time my wallet is liking, because I'm like, if they're doing, you know, less, I should be showing y'all the palette, if they're doing less color and doing more everyday stuff, that people like me who like color and stuff can save some money, because we'll be less likely to buy, because we don't really do the whole neutral thing. But the color story of this is really nice. They always find a way to blend in some neutrals. Like you got this little neutral corner right here. They always find a way to put neutrals in, which, you know, I'm okay, I'm fine with. It's just, you know, this disappointed me because it wasn't giving as much as I was hoping it would give, so that's why it's lower to the bottom. And then they didn't come up with that many more fun or unique color stories this year. Like, I don't like their holiday collection. Like, I haven't really been checking for them this year, because I feel like they haven't really been checking for me or doing anything that's of interest, which I'm kind of disappointed by. But you know, on to the next stack of palettes. I just got them next to me sliding on the floor. But next I have the Lunar Beauty and Laura Lee Los Angeles Full Fantasy palette. I ended up finding this on Macari for I think like 30 bucks, and I had $10 worth of free money that they just gave me, and then I had made a sale, so I had $25 or something. So I didn't actually pay for this palette out of my pocket, because I had sold something and they gave me free money. So that's how I ended up with it. The color story of it, as you can see, is really similar to my Nearly Natural palette. If you all want me to do a video with this versus a Nearly Natural palette, if anybody still cares, I'll do it. But like, I don't know, the quality on this just wasn't the same as Lunar Beauty quality. I don't know if they mixed her quality and his quality together to get the quality that was put in this palette, but I wasn't impressed with it compared to the other Lunar Beauty palettes I have. Like, I feel like their quality is so much better than this. That's why this one is so low down. It has nothing to do with me not liking Lunar Beauty. It's just more of, I don't know, like I said, if she put her quality and his quality together in this palette to make this palette, but it wasn't the quality that I'm used to using from his brand, so I was disappointed by it. And it made me even happy that I already had the Nearly Natural palette from Dede Signature Cosmetics, because that one was not it. Next, believe it or not, Natasha Denona is down here. So it's the Natasha Denona Xenon palette. It ended up being really low just because people were saying that some of the black shades turn navy blue. When people my skin tone, they don't turn navy blue, they just look black. So it's like you got these whole bunch of blacks and this one like random pink shade right here, and this one like pinky like pewter shade right here, and everything else is just gray. So it's like I don't really use stuff like this that often, so I'm actually going to redesign mine and make it look more like the Mothership 1 palette. I want to put some blue shimmers in here. I feel like that'll be nice. I'll leave the pinks behind just so it could be a fun, interesting pop of inner corner color, and maybe try to find like a navy blue or something to put in here that'll be a true navy blue for someone of my skin tone to work a little bit better, because right now it's just not giving what I would personally want and need. So that's why it's as low as it is for me. It has nothing to do with the quality. It just has to do with the color story and, you know, the lack of it being, you know, something that I'm going to reach for that often. And when you pay $69, you want to be able to reach for it pretty often. So I'm going to have to recreate it after paying her $69. So yeah, no, that ain't it. But since it still had the same Natasha Denona quality that I'm used to, that's why it got to be a little higher up. It's in the second stack instead of the first stack. Because honey, if it had been bad quality on top of it, I would have had to put in the first one. Next one, I have the Bella Beaute Bar, The Sun and the Sea. This is the only Bella Beaute Bar palette I own besides the holiday one. This was the first one I bought because it reminded me of Maddie's Siren Sunset palette. This one I'm not that crazy about, but again, it's based upon color story preference. Y'all know, like, what am I finna do with all these browns? And then this nude shade. Like, literally this top row does not matter to me at all. So with a palette this big and the top row I don't care about at all, that's why it's ranked where it's ranked. If they had did more cool tone shades like Mandy did, I feel like this would have been ranked much higher. But the fact that she did warm tones and I'm not a warm tone person, and then like there's literally a whole row of neutrals, is what the problem is for me with this palette. So it's not the quality, it's the color story. But I've been saying that when it comes to some of these palettes, so you should already know what time it is. If it has too much neutral in it and not enough color, she's automatically gonna be put down to the bottom. Now this palette you might be surprised about. This is the Juvia's Place, what is this? Afro Galactic palette. I wasn't that crazy about this color story from the start. It looks okay on camera. I think I ended up getting it for a deal, and that's why I ended up buying it, because I went in store and got it along with some other stuff and wanted to do a review of it. And it was still somewhat new when I bought it, but I was not in love with the color story of this when I saw it. I'm still not really in love with the color story of this, so I feel like that's why it's getting ranked kind of lower down, because it's not the quality, it's just the color story. To me, it's a little chaotic and weird, and I don't see like a lot of looks in it that I necessarily wouldn't want to do. I mean, I know I got the like little neutral section over here, and then you get like all the fun colors right here, but it's like sometimes Juvia's Place color stories are still a little chaotic even for me, and I'm just like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? So this is one I had to sit down with for a while and look at, and I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but because I have so many other Juvia's Place palettes that always inspire me and are really colorful, and you'll see one much higher up than this one, I was just kind of like, this one can go down low because it's just not doing as much for me as, you know, other ones do. Speaking of chaotic color stories, next we have the Blend Bunny Sickly Sweet palette. If you all remember, I was not a fan of this palette, which made me sad, because it's like, y'all know I love me a Blend Bunny moment, but I don't know, like I feel like the pastels in here didn't work for me. I don't necessarily like the topper shimmers that are in here. All of them aren't topper shimmers, but when I did my first look with it, I ended up with a topper shimmer, so I wasn't necessarily crazy about that based upon the colors I had chosen to do the look with. So it's the same quality as before, it's just I don't know what it is with this palette, but I'm personally not a fan, which is why it's lower down. You'll see a couple more Blend Bunny palettes, and they're higher up. This one was just my least favorite that they came out with this year. So there you go. Next, we have another Natasha Denona palette. So this is the I Need a Nude palette. I feel like I would get a little more use out of this one, just because at least it has, like, you know, a range of tones that I can rush out the door really quick and do. I feel like with those blacks, like if I rush out too quick or do it too quickly, it'll end up looking muddy and whatnot. Whereas this, since they're neutrals, it's like I can put it on, I won't have to worry about it looking as muddy. And this is more of a realistic color story that would be used more often, including by myself, even though y'all know these aren't colors I use. But like based upon this one versus the black and white grayscale one, obviously this one would be the one I would use more. So, you know, that's how it got put here at the top. But y'all know I'm not a fan of this one either. I feel like the neutrals aren't really like personally deep enough for my skin tone, or just to my personal liking. But since I don't wear neutrals that often, they could be fine for someone with my skin tone. It's just I don't do the neutral thing. So next I have my Sigma Beauty and the Beast palette. So this one, I was a little disappointed because it's like I wanted that bright yellow gold for like her dress, and I feel like I didn't get that. I feel like they focused on the coat more, which is why we got like the tones we got here, and a little bit of Mrs. Potts, which is why we got the tones we got here. And then they just stuck to like the this one that's the color Belle though. Like I expected this to be the bright yellow like her dress, and it's more like a soft champagne with a little bit of yellow gold, which I was disappointed by. And then there's like a lot of brown, so y'all know I like the quality of Sigma. I like the quality of this palette. It's just more of, I felt like they could have put a little more color into it, the way they've done with some of their other Disney ones in the past. I was disappointed that they didn't, so that's why it's lower down, because I would have put it higher up because I love Disney and I love when Sigma does Disney palettes, but that Disney palette fell short for me. I know it's Karen's favorite because she loves Beauty and the Beast, but believe it or not, my favorite, y'all know one of my favorites is Alice in Wonderland, and then like my favorite princess would probably be Sleeping Beauty. Okay, next we just gonna put all these here. Shout out to my girl Dionluvsmakeup. She got me the one on the top, the Velvet Liaison. So this is what it looks like. I'm just putting all these together because all of them were just really boring, and I was just like, I don't care which one. Putting all of them in the same spot is fine because all of them are just really boring to me. Like, for a love collection, this is a snooze fest. I don't feel loved or inspired in any way by any of these palettes. At best, I would say I like this one the best, but I still don't like it enough to put it any higher than the rest of these three. Like, the collection's okay, but it's like, mother, when you come out with a collection, a love collection, next time give us some fun colors that are, you know, supposed to be thought of when you think of love. You know, like some red and some other stuff. 'Cause this right here, this just ain't it. This is not it at all. Disappointment box is where you go. And next I have two of the small ones. So I didn't bring the other two that I like the best, so I'll show these again in the higher spot, and I just won't open them. But this is the Sunset Romance and the Bronze Ecstasy. So show both of these. So these are my two least favorite color stories. I feel like we should use bronze. It's a warm tone palette. I do like the Bronze Ecstasy a little bit better because it is cool tone even though it's neutral. So this one I rank over this one just by one like little iota or whatever. But I was not impressed with these two color stories. They have two that have better color stories in my personal opinion, and I will show these again when we get to that round. Okay, I got two more palettes, and then we're gonna get a new battery and go on to the next like 4 stacks, because I told y'all there's like 6 stacks sitting around me. Next we have the Glaminatrix Sugar and Spice palette. Now I like the color stories, it's okay. I'm just not necessarily excited about the neutrals, and I feel like the neutrals with these pastels is a weird combination for me, so I wasn't necessarily crazy about it, although it does kind of give me the vibes of the Nightshade palette. But the Nightshade palette has a little more color to it than this does, so I think it throws me off of this only pastels, and you get these random neutrals and then you get these shimmers. So I was just thrown off by this color story and wasn't necessarily crazy about it. I love their quality. It has the same quality as their other palettes. I just am not a huge fan of the color story because of the weird like cool tone neutrals with pastels. It's not a vibe for me. The last one I have Lascenja. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. I did recreate my Lascenja though. I took some of the shades out of the Amunet new palette that I don't like to recreate this one. So this is what mine looks like. It doesn't look like yours is going to look if you purchase this. This is actually on sale on their website right now for 40 bucks. And then you can use my code GELBEAUTY87. I think you get a further discount. Don't quote me because I didn't like type it in and try or whatever. But if you were interested in this palette, just don't expect it to look exactly like mine. But you know, you can get it for 40 bucks instead of 50. And it has quality mattes and shimmers in it. She actually gave a lot of mattes in here. So if you're a person who likes a lot of mattes and wants to try Adept, and you can still try their shimmer formula because there's 4 shimmers across the bottom of the original one, and then a lot of mattes, then you should definitely try out this palette. But I ended up liking it okay. As you can see, it's in the second set instead of the first set, but it's a lot of neutral mattes in there, so that was my concern with it, and that's why I wasn't necessarily crazy about it. So that's how I got in the spot it's in. I got some more Adept in here. Honey, it's gonna be high. Do you hear me? Adept is gonna be high on this list. But I'm gonna go off camera, get another battery, and then we'll come back and talk about the rest of the Adept. The rest of the palettes. Okay, girl? Okay. Okay, so the next palette we have to talk to is the Friday the 13th palette. So as you can see Camp Crystal Lake when I turn it, and then it says Friday the 13th right there. So here's what it looks like on the inside. So the color story of this is okay. It's just, my whole thing is it reminds me of Morte with like a deeper version of greens and a mauvey section. So I'm like, if I already have 2 Morte palettes, the original Morte quality is better than the new one, by the way. But I just don't feel the need for this. And plus I feel like a lot of their Halloween color stories were quite repetitive. So there's that whole thing. So I kind of just was like, So I'm kind of grouping all the Halloween palettes together, because next behind that I have the Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street and Glamlite. So this is the Dream Master. This is the one that I told you all looks like the waiting room from Melt Cosmetics. So if you already have it, you don't necessarily need it. And then this is Freddy Krueger one, is the one that reminds me of Smoke Session by Melt Cosmetics. So they're both giving Smoke Sessions or like Melt Cosmetics vibes, and I already own both those palettes, so these weren't really a need for me other than trying out the formula to see how they were going to be for you all and giving you some alternatives to stuff we already have, which I actually have videos coming up on both of those before you see this video, because I'm trying to make sure this video goes up like the week after Christmas, but we'll see how it goes. So next I have the two Odin's Eye Holiday palettes. These actually surprised me and better than I expected them to be, because I was like, this one is really light and I didn't think it was going to go well for me, the Snow Dreams. But I just paired this one with the Merry Christmas palette, which you'll see of course higher up, because that one is amazing. But this one is really nice. It's just, you know, it worked out better than I expected, which is why I got to be higher than I expected. I like the hollow shade Frankincense actually the most out of all the shades in here. So I like the Hey Reindeer better, but I just decided to put them together because I still pair this with another palette. Like I like to pair this with Angie's Little Ghost palette, which you'll see higher up in the ranking, of course. But I definitely like the color story of this one a lot better, and I feel like this one works better for me and for my skin tone for like quick looks, as opposed to having to pair with something. So this one I don't have to pair with, so I would put this one above this one, which is why I showed this one first and this one last. But I'm just pairing them together because they came out together and they both are, you know, okay. It's just this one is a little bit better to me than this one. Next we have one of Mother's palettes. So this is the Starstruck Splendor. So this is the one that's supposed to be for lighter skin tones, of course. That one will go before the one that works best for my skin tone. However, I feel like this has older shades that she kind of recycled, because to me this kind of reminds me of, what's that palette called? The first one, Celestial Divinity, that she came out with, because some of these tones are reminders of the middle shades, and then you get two blushes with it. So I feel like she kind of just recycled some of it, to be honest. I showed you all comparisons of both of these so you could see what I was talking about, but in the video I initially did with both of these. But I don't know, this one just fell short for me as far as color story goes and blushes, because I can only use this blush. I feel like this one is too light, and then a lot of these tones in here I'm not necessarily crazy about, but I wanted to try the form of the eyeshadows more than I want to do the blush. So this one is okay, but I don't know, a lot of Pat McGrath stuff this year has kind of let me down. I'm kind of just like Next we have the Sage the Day palette from ColourPop. This ColourPop palette was better than the first two I showed you all. This is good quality. If you need a dupe to the child and you want to pay the price that the child costs, then I feel like this would be a great alternative for you to pick up. So I would recommend going ahead and getting this one over the child if you don't want to pay like the $16, because I think this one is only like $12 or something like that. And you can use influencer codes, and I don't think you can use influencer codes with the child palette. So it all depends on what your preference is when it comes to the colors, but I feel like both these color stories are similar enough to, if you wanted the child and it was sold out, that you could go ahead and get Sage today and you'd be just fine. And the quality is pretty nice. Next we have the Plain & Makeup by Yolando Paint Me Chrome palette. So this is a good alternative for people who didn't end up getting the Plain Jane palette from Adept, or aren't necessarily interested in the Plain Jane palette from Adept and want to support a black-owned brand, which I understand. This one definitely gives similar vibes. I gave y'all a video comparing this to the Plain Jane palette. I thought it was good quality and good price point. So if you want to check it out, definitely go ahead. They have really good sales a lot of the time, so you might be able to get it for like 40 or 50% off. Like I think I got mine for 50% off when they had a sale. Next we have the, what is this? Dede Signature Jingle Bell Ruby palette. I said it right. I always usually say Jingle Bells, so I'm proud of myself for saying Jingle Bell. I'm saying it right. That's what it looks like on the inside. It definitely gives me the vibes of the Melt Cosmetics, what is it, Christmas Town palette, the one they did with Nightmare Before Christmas. The color stories are somewhat similar. They're not exact. They're somewhat similar. Like that one has a little more purple to me, and these are just two like reddish brown shades along with this brighter red tone brown. I wish she had done a purple to match the purple shimmer that she has in here. So it could have been like a deep royal purple, then this medium toned red shade, and then this brighter red to go with it if you want to deepen up the red look. But it's a great palette overall. I love the shimmers in here. The mattes in here work pretty nicely. The only thing is I'll say these two mattes to me are too close in tone, so when I put them both on, they pretty much look the same once it oxidizes. So that's why this one is in front of the ones from Melt, because you know So I'm putting the matte ones together. They're literally right behind it. So this is the Halloween Town, and then this is the Christmas Town. So this is what the Halloween Town looks like. It definitely gives me the vibes of like the Haunted palette from Garmon Girls and Doodles by the Bunny. I definitely feel like you can make this a companion palette with that and get some gorgeous looks out of it. I plan on doing that sometime next year because this year just escaping away from us so quick, and I still have new palettes coming in I want to try out to put on Instagram because I won't have time for videos. So I like the formula of this one and the color story of this one. The funny thing is this was the one I wasn't interested in the most, but the one I actually was interested in, the Christmas Town, kind of let me down a little bit because it has a lot of those toppery shimmer shades that I'm not necessarily crazy about. Then it has this one random white shade that I know I won't get too much use out of. So it was mainly the shimmers in here that let me down, not necessarily the mattes, although they are kind of dry and they're not like they used to be where they like automatically are quite pigmented. You have to like pick up quite a bit of shadow and build on it, as opposed to the way you used to just be able to put it on and it would build on itself naturally. So that was kind of what was disappointing about it to me as well. But I still like the Halloween Town better than the Christmas Town, which is why I showed them in the order I showed them in, even though I wasn't going to get either, but I ended up getting them on a good deal during the Sephora sale, so I went ahead and picked it up. Lastly, out of this last stack, I have the Lunar Beauty Siren Sunset palette. So I like this one better than the Beaute Bar one because, like I told you, I prefer cool tones when it comes to matte. So they put all cool tones in here. I like the tones he chose as far as his blues and his purples and the cute little green moment that's in here. So I just like the color story of this one better, and the fact that it's cool tone instead of warm tone. So that's how I got to be above the Beaute Bar one. Because Beaute Bar has some great quality, like their holiday palette you haven't seen yet, because I love the quality of it enough to where it's much higher up. Okay, so move to this next stack. So the next stack, like I told you, I was just going to show you these two. But these are for the Lunar Night shade and the Bijouette. I forgot the name of it exactly. But I'm putting these two here for those two palettes since I only brought these two palettes with me. I like the quality of those a whole lot better. I feel like the Lunar Night shade will go great with the Siren Sunset I just showed you. And then the Bijouette one I feel like will go great with some other palettes I have, or even with the Mothership 11 that they came out with recently, because I like the colors in there and I feel like they will pair nicely together. Or it'll pair nicely with the what is it, Bejeweled other palettes that they came out with that you'll see in a few seconds. So those are two great quads to come out with, and if I had to pick, obviously those are more colorful and I like them a lot better. So I put them there. Next, I have my Dior, what is it? Dior Silver Essentials palette. Now, the only reason this is as low as it is because they don't really have any matte shades in here. All these seem to be like more of those satin type shades and shimmers. It's not really any matte shade in. The lilac shade is supposed to be a hollow like graphic, I guess, shade, if you will. That's what it says. And the other one's a satin. So it's just satins and shimmers and one hollow shade. If they had like a actual deep matte purple shade in here and a deep matte mauve tone shade in here to use, I feel like I would like it a whole lot better and it'd be a whole lot higher. But because it doesn't, that's why it's as low as it is. Next, I have the Huda Beauty Warm and Cool Matte Obsessions. So I would pair this Cool Matte Obsessions with the palette I just showed you all. I love the color story of this palette. I think it's really nice. I don't ever use the cream shadows in these palettes, but I still think the color stories were really nice. And I felt like they blended out easily and did a good job. I would rank the cool mattes over the warm mattes just because, again, we know I'm a cool tone girl. I've been saying it throughout the video. So these two are great, and I'm definitely going to pair this with the Silver Essentials sometime next year. And this one I will probably pair with another palette you'll see later on, like the all shimmering palettes that I have. But definitely impressed by both of these, in spite of what other people say. Because I heard some people saying they didn't like them. I like them just fine, so I don't have the issue that other people have with them. Next, I have the Diypansy Cosmetics Rich Romance palette. Sorry, Rich Romantic palette. This is what it looks like on the inside. I've only got a chance to use this like 1 or 2 times, so that's why I put it where I put it. If I had got to use it more, it would have been much higher because I love this color story. I'm not really into like warm tones, but I like the whole berry purple vibe of it, and I can get down with a little bit of warmth going along with the berries. And I just love the dual chromes and multi-chromes that were put in this palette as far as the shimmers go. So I really like it. It's just more because I haven't utilized it as much as I've used some other things. I felt like it wouldn't be fair to put it higher up, and it's like, oh, I only used it 2 times, but you know, whatever. I like to use the palette at least 3 to 4 times to have kind of come up with a decision on it or whatever, and this missed the mark by like that much, so that's why it's got put where it got put. Don't get it twisted. I love me some Lemonade, and you'll see some Lemonade palettes higher up in this ranking. It's just those two. The first one I wasn't that crazy about, and then the second one I haven't got to use that often. So next, this is the palette I was talking about, the Jewel Temptations palette. I feel like the Lunar Nightshade would go really nice. No, the Bijouette one would go really nice with this one, because look at this color story. But again, I feel this is lower down because I feel like this color story is really similar again to Celestial Divinity, the first one they came out with, because I feel like these are all the other tones that were on the other side. They came in a, excuse me, Star Wars palette that they had. That came out that year, and then they just put them in the holiday palette for people who missed out on the Star Wars palette, which I know those people were pissed about, but you know, they still bought it or they didn't buy it, whichever one. But I really liked the quality of this one and the color story of this one better, obviously, because it works for my skin tone better. I will say both the blushes don't work in here for me though. Like Desert Amber isn't going to do much of anything for me. I'm assuming that's for the medium tone girls. And then, you know, Paradise Venus I already own, which is more for people my skin tone. So I have a couple of Paradise Venus and a couple of Fates palettes, but I'm still keeping my original because I just love it that much. But this one is good quality, just like the other one was. It's just more of, I'm tired of her repeating color stories, and to me that's what this was. It was just like she just repeated some more color stories of stuff she's already done, and I'm kind of getting tired of her repeating color stories. Like, you know, everybody gets tired after a while. I don't know what's going on with my Sugar and Grunge palette, but as you can see, it's not like fully closing. I don't know what's going on with that. I was trying to fix it, but it was not working. So maybe I need to sit something on it for a while and then it'll work. But this palette I like better than the Halloween palette. I think this was the second palette she came out with this year, because I think she came out with like 3 or 4. I'm not putting Machina in here just because I literally used it one time for a video. That's why I used it 2 times in one video, and that was it. I haven't touched it since because palettes keep coming in. But I really like the color story of this. I definitely like the aesthetics more and the colors more. It's not necessarily having to do with her putting in the proper order that she normally does. It's just more of the color story of this to me is more aesthetically pleasing than the Sickly Sweet was. And I really like the shades and things in here, and the shimmers in here and whatnot. It was really the shimmers and the color story of the other one that I wasn't necessarily crazy about. But that one I can work with. Next we have the Cosmic Brushes Gothic palette. So this is what she looks like. Absolutely stunning. Love it, love it, love it. It's just I'm not really into monochromatic palettes as much as I used to be, so that's why this got ranked where it was. But it's the same quality they always have. It's just monochromatic, and I'm not really big on it. But y'all been filming this video so long that the card got full. Honey, the card got full. That's how tired we are. So next I have 2 of the palettes from the Perfect World collection. So I have UOMA Beauty's palette here called Sea Talk. This is what it looks like on the inside. It's just a pretty simple neutral palette with like a couple of pops of color, because if you cover this up, you got your neutral quad, you got your blue quad, and then you got these 2 pops of color to make it like a little bit more exciting. I liked it okay. It's just there are other palettes from UOMA that I like better, and I would normally pair all these together, but I like Betty Jean so much more than these to like I put hers on a separate scale on its own. But this is the Flora Stories palette. This is with Makeup Just for Fun. I believe her name is Amanda. This is what it looks like on the inside. You would think that this one would be higher up because of the color story, but like my girl Karen Harris said, initially in the video I didn't have issues with it being patchy, but when I tried to do more looks with it after that video, like I started having that patchy issue that Karen was talking about, which kind of bumped it down. Because you have to think, because I love color stories like this, I would have a few more palettes like this, and when the purple is patchy and it's like the darker shade in here, that's not gonna like make me want to reach for this, because I know I'm still gonna have to dip into somebody else's palette to get it done. And even though it has this nice shimmer in it called Dawn that's gorgeous, and this nice shimmer called Lush, it's like I still have other palettes that have like, you know, special shades, and then have colors that I can work with. So when I feel like taking the extra time to like grab an extra palette to work with this, I do. But it's just, you know, because of that purple and stuff, it got knocked down, and because UOMA Beauty's palette is quite neutral and only has a couple of pops of color, that's why they're where they are. Versus we all know Betty Jean is a color queen like myself, so she was gonna have a lot more color, which is why her palette is more, you know, up my alley. Next we have the Danessa Myricks Beauty Lightwork Volume 5 I Am palette. So this was kind of low down just because it's all shimmer palette. Y'all know I'm not really crazy about all shimmer palettes, and like the shimmers in here are nice, but a lot of them, because I heard lots of dual chromes and multi-chromes have to be made and have green shifts to them. A lot of these I did notice were shifting kind of green. So it's like, y'all know I like green, but only to a certain extent. It's like I want to see the shifts of the other colors. And if I feel like I'm seeing more of the green than anything else, it's kind of deterring me from it. Plus, I did place this one higher up though, because I like the fact that she didn't put those like, you know, chroma flakes in here that you have to wet, and the hydroliners in here. So she finally listened to us and didn't put those in there because people aren't really a fan of them or like them. So I didn't want to place it higher for that too. But at the end of the day, it is a shimmer palette. And you have to think how many palettes I do have. And the fact that I have to go grab a whole nother palette just to use with this palette. Because I'm not going to just do an all shimmer look. Is why it is where it is. Next, we have the Bella Beaute Bar Bejeweled palette. I told y'all there was a Bella Beaute Bar in here that was like ranked higher up. So we're in like the 4th stack. And we got 2 more stacks to go, but this is what it looks like. The reason this wasn't like higher up is because since it is a bejeweled palette, obviously it's going to have more jewel tones or more deeper mattes. And at the end of the day, I still have to reach into another palette to get like some transition shades and some airbrush shades. I mean, I have like 1 and 2 right here, but I feel like otherwise there isn't really transition shades for you to use with all these colors. And if I don't want to do like a red, green, blue, purple look, and I want to do like some other tones or just like blues or just like purples, then I'd have to dip into another palette to get my transition shades, and then possibly inner corner shade depending on how light you want the inner corner to be. I just felt like this would need a companion palette, and although I'm fine with just using on its own, when I do want to use it with some other stuff, I'd have to grab to make a complete look. So that's why it's a little further down. If it was like the basic witch or something else, and I feel like it would definitely been higher because I love the color story of those, and I feel like the formula is going to be nice. I haven't ordered them yet, so we're going to have to wait and see. But next, I have the Nomad Royal Europe. Shout out to my girl, Dionluvsmakeup again. She ended up sending me this because she couldn't use it because it's a pressed pigment palette. It is not a matte palette. You can use code Dion at Nomad to pick up this palette if you're interested. But oh, and you can use my affiliate link to Bella Beaute Bar if you're interested. It'll be linked down below. But yeah, I love the color story of this palette. Like, I was gonna buy it just because of the whole row of like multi-pumps down there. If y'all can see them shifting in like the picture, I mean in the mirror. Like, I'm like, just because of that I was gonna buy it. But this palette was very impressive to me. This is one I would pair with the one I just showed you all, the Bella Beaute Bar, because as you can see, it has like mid transition shades to use in addition to some deeper shades and some lighter shades, and they even gave you some neutral, so I have a transition shade now by using it. So I'm definitely going to pair this with the Bella Beaute Bar palette for sure, because I feel like they would definitely come in handy together. I really loved on this palette when I first got it. I haven't used it as often, but I used it at least 3 or 4 times. I told y'all before, if I use it 3 or 4 times with as much stuff as I have to try, that means I'm really taking interest in it and like it. Next, we have the Adept Cosmetics Element 115 palette. Now, I told y'all some Adept was going to be in here and it's going to be higher up, so this is definitely higher up because this is in like the 4th stack and I have like 6 stacks. So this is what it looks like. This is the one they sent me in PR. I really love the color story of this. It gives a nice jewel tone moment, and then it has like these interesting rainbow shifting shades that are pressed in the pan. I really like the color story of this palette as a whole. I haven't got to play with it that often, which is again why it's further down. I only used it 3 times because I did 2 looks for you all on camera, and then I did 1 look, but I haven't been able to touch it since then because I still have like 4 or 5 palettes that I still have not used that came out this year, which you will not see in this video because I have not used them. Girl, let me grab another stack. Hold please. So we down to like the top tier ones now, like the ones I'm obsessed with, I'm in love with, I'm enraptured, and you could not take them from me if you wanted to. So we got my Mothership Volume 11. It's a Starlit Seduction, I believe. And now you see what I was talking about when I said comparing it to the Sydney Grace. And you see how it has a gorgeous red shade and it has this gorgeous shifting shade. And then like this deeper red out here that worked better than the Sydney Grace one did when I used it on the outer V because it was more pigmented. So it's like you have all these special shades and all these other things. So it's like if I'm going to reach for a neutral palette, obviously I'm going to reach for Mother's because she's going to give all these special shades and all this depth with this shade and all these extra things going on that you're not going to necessarily get when you buy the Sydney Grace one. So that's why I prefer this one over the Sydney Grace, and that's why the Sydney Grace was so low. If I didn't have the Pat McGrath one, it might have been higher up because it's not like Sydney Grace's quality is bad. It's just more of, you know, when I had to compare the two and got to use them side by side, obviously I knew who won for my personal preference, so that's the way I ranked it. Next we have my Ace Beauty Palette. I love this palette, y'all. Like, this palette is giving I am living, I'm here for it. It's a whole lot. This is what she looks like on the inside. I was trying to remember if they came out this year or last year, but I see lots of people putting it in there this year one, so I was like, maybe it did come out this year. I just tried so much stuff to God only knows. But I remember comparing this to the Barbie palette too, and I swear that came out like a year ago or something like that. That's why I'm like, did this really come out this year or did it come out last year and other people got it in PR this year? I don't know. Either way, I love this palette and I like it ranked where it is, honey. this color story is giving. I am living. I do not like the game. I don't play the game. I did not even buy it with the game. They did sell it by itself, and I snatched it with the quickness because I did not want the game. But the color story of this is amazing. The formula of this is really nice. I know Morgan Turner wasn't crazy about the formula. I like it and thought it was fine. It's better than the original formula they initially came out with. And if you're interested in this palette, I definitely think you should check it out. I know, right? I have talked about the palette so much, it's absurd. Next, I have the Aloha palette from Clarity Cosmetics. Now, I'm sure you're probably shocked that this was ranked that high because when I tried it on my video, I wasn't that impressed. But the next look I did was I actually really enjoyed and really liked it. I dipped into this quite a lot to like add with other palettes when I wanted like a bright color or two, when I was still trying to test it out some more to make up my mind to see if I changed my mind or if it was the same. And obviously it changed because it's in the second to last stack of palettes. So it's pretty high up there considering I didn't like it initially. But y'all know, like, I try stuff and then I have to try stuff some more. And then sometimes my opinion changes. And this was one where my opinion changed, which I'm kind of glad about because I love sort of black-owned brand. So the fact that I found a black-owned brand that has great colorful color stories and shimmers and dual chromes and multi-chromes, I was happy about. Next, oh, you can use code Dr. Ash at Clarity Cosmetics if you're interested. And you can use Karen's code at Ace Beauty if you're interested. And that'll be KH Makeup. And Dr. Ash's code is just Dr. Ash. Anyway, now into this Ensley Reign palette. You can use my affiliate link down below if you're interested in this. This is the Harvest Moon. They just came out with one I think called Cold Moon. I'm pretty sure I saw Heather Austin come up with a video on it with like 5 looks or something like that. But this is what it looks like on the inside. I don't know if I necessarily want that one. I really like the color story of this one though. It definitely screams fall vibes to me. And I get the Harvest Moon vibes from here. My only thing is, I would like the lighter shade other than just its orange. Like, I feel like there's not any transition shades that aren't deep. And sometimes you want something that's just a little bit lighter. So I'm kind of disappointed. I'm wondering if I can put some of my Adept shades in here because they look like they might be the same size as Adept. Because if they are, I will definitely trade out some Adept shades for it's lighter. But Adept looks like it might be just a little bit bigger. So I don't know. But I'm like, I really like the color story of this. I may like the shimmers in here. I'm not necessarily crazy about the mattes because there are a lot of dark mattes. And I need like some transition shades and otherwise. So I'd have to pair this with another palette as usual, but that's okay. I feel like this would pair nicely with the Good Sport, and I feel like they have some lighter shades in there to work out. Although mine is kind of feeling super old and like it's feeling real dry and crusty when you dig into it. So, but it's great quality if you're interested in purchasing. Just keep in mind it's on the higher side because of dual chromes, multi chromes, hollow chromes, and all the other stuff that they put in their palettes. So the next one is from Adept Cosmetics. This is the Cimmerian Sunset palette. Now, I heard this is supposed to be based upon a Star Wars, like, drink or something. Y'all know I don't watch, like, sci-fi things when it comes to, like, Star Wars and Star Trek and, you know, all that type of stuff. I don't watch those type of, like, sci-fi things. But the color story in this is amazing. If this drink really looks like this, can I, like, find somewhere to buy it and try it out? Because if it's giving, like, this type of color and vibe, I'm here for it. It's cute. The color story of this is absolutely amazing. This is another one I would pair with that Harvest Moon palette I just showed you all because I feel like they would be great companion palettes to each other. I've paired this with other palettes and made gorgeous looks with it. I am an extremely big fan of Adept and this palette, and you can use my code GELBEAUTY87 to purchase this palette if you're interested. She's stunning. I think that was limited edition if I remember correctly. Next, we have these Utenzied palettes. You can use my girl Karen's code, KH Makeup, to buy your Utenzied palettes. So this is the Jewels and Gem. So I like the color story of this. I like the fact that they gave a little bit of grays, but they're like dusty blue grays, not just like actual grays. Like this one is an actual gray, but I feel like the rest of them, like these are dusty blue grays or like dusty mauve tones and like some ashy pinks. I really liked the color story of this and the way they went about doing it, but still a little bit neutrally, if you will. So of course the Stone and Rock would go ahead of it because it's giving more of like the green moment, and it's not necessarily doing a monochromatic green, which I can appreciate. And this shade shifts from like blue to green. I feel like it kind of reminds me of the shade that's in Angie's Trick or Treat palette, in my personal opinion. But I really like the color story of this one as a whole, just a little bit better than that one because I feel like I get a little bit more vibrancy and fun with this than I would with the more neutrally palette. So I paired them together though because I like both of them about equally. So that's where they got picked, which is pretty high up considering. Next, I have the Cosmic Brushes Muse palette. So this is what it looks like on the inside. I have done several looks with this. When it first came out, I was excited. I did like 3 or 4 looks with it. The brand liked all the looks I put on Instagram, so I was just like, yes, I love this palette. It's definitely giving all the vibes that I need. It is stunning, and I am here for it. I've done several looks, and the quality of this is absolutely amazing for like, I think it's $25 or something like that. And even with shipping from the UK to America, it's only like 30 something, and I would easily pay like 50 bucks for this palette. So I mean, honey, get your hands on it if you love Color Story, because it's great. Next, we have my Into the Night palette from Glamlite Cosmetics. I told you there'd be a Glamlite palette that was higher up, and this is it. I love the color story of this. If you like a fun version of the Mothership 3 palette from Pat McGrath, then I feel like you would definitely like this palette. Again, you have to look at Glamlite Cosmetics. It's quads. So you got your neutral quad right there in the middle. You got your fun pop of color quad, and then you got your like wild card quad. That's always what I call the one that has like some unique random colors that you wouldn't necessarily think to pair together, but end up looking nice and turn out well together. So that's what the one at the end is. But as a whole, I feel like this is a great color story and a gorgeous palette, and I would tell anyone to try it out if they like the Mothership 3 palette. I feel like this would be your wild card Mothership 3 with all the dual clones and multi clones that Mother doesn't necessarily give. I mean, she gives a little bit of funness in that. I wish she would go back to those days when she did like a whole bunch of fun stuff on her palettes, because these palettes she's doing now is not it. Like, they're 50 shades of beige and I don't appreciate it, or they're 50 shades of pink and I don't appreciate it, or they're 50 shades of mauve and I don't appreciate it. The point is they're 50 shades of some neutral tone with 1 or 2 pops of color that's supposed to make me excited, and I don't appreciate it, okay? Next, we have the Doodles by the Bunny and Gourmand Girl collabs. Now, I didn't put the spooked one in here because it didn't come out this year. I tried to stick to stuff that came out this year, so that's why you won't see it here, but I did buy it this year. So let's start off with the Nightshade palette. This is what it looks like on the inside. The color story of this is simply stunning. And if you see what I mean when I was talking about it being similar to another palette early on, then you see the matter of fact, I was talking about the Sugar and Spice by Glamour Natrix. I feel like it gives some similar vibes of that, because as you can see, it has the yellows and it has the greens, and it just had the pastel versions of those same colors, but you still get like the deeper tones and some of the grays just like in that palette. So that's why I feel like they are somewhat similar, and I feel like this would be a nice palette to pair with that one in my personal opinion. I plan on doing that, but I really love the color story of this, and this is actually the first Gourmand Girls palette I bought that caused me to buy the Haunted palette. So this is what it looks like on the inside. I think it's a stunning palette. Again, I told you I would pair this with the, the Halloween Town palette from Nightmare Before Christmas and Milk Cosmetics, because I feel like they would pair nicely together with the tones that are in there. I feel like these tones complement that really nicely. This palette stands alone and does great looks on its own. I gave you all a great look on its own when I first tried it out, but I just feel like it would pair nicely with that one as well. And I've been loving the formula of this brand. When I first tried it out, I was like, I don't know, but I'm in love now. Next, I have the only palette I own from Electrium Cosmetics. This is the Sea Witch palette. They just emailed me talking about they were coming out with another one, which I was excited about. But I mean, if you know me, then you know what this color story is all about and how I'm obsessed with it. This shade right here reminds me of a shade that's in the Lands of Enchantment palette that's actually on my eyes right now. It's a gorgeous shade. All the shades in here are shifty and gorgeous, and the mattes in here blend really nicely. They are a little powdery though, so you have to keep that in mind. But I saw my girl Dr. Adrian her makeup with this after I'd seen this on Instagram, and once I saw her look, I was like, it's a wrap. I need it. I don't know if anybody has a code to this brand or not. I don't think they do, or anyone I know has a code to it, but you can, like, I guess check and see if there are any codes out there. But this is a gorgeous palette, and I can't wait to see what else this brand comes out with, because I need to try it, whatever it is. Next, we have the Fantasy Cosmetics Rogue palette. Now, this is the first time you've seen Fantasy Cosmetics in here, but like, I feel like they do a great job with their formulas and their color stories. This one I love. I mean, look at it, honey. Look at it. She's giving, I'm living. I'm very excited about this color story. This knocks the Sorcerer palette off its throne for me for a little while anyway, till another palette came along and knocked it off. But I really like the color story of this, and I think she does a great job with her color stories. And I like the fact she finally stopped putting those like satiny-esque shimmers in here that didn't give as much sparkle and glow as these do. I don't know if other creators were saying it, but I know I was saying I wasn't necessarily a fan of that shade, and I noticed that she finally stopped putting them in there. I didn't end up buying the Fighter palette though, so you won't see that in this video. I might get it next year or another time when there's a sale, but it's a more neutral palette. Y'all know I don't do neutral, so yeah, no. Next, we have the Moonfall palette. I love this one to death. The only thing is, I know another creator said the same thing for her. Like, her shimmers are starting to like break. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know why shimmers are just breaking on people, but mine has been doing that as well. Like, the green one y'all see has chunks missing in it. My pink one has chunks missing. At first I thought it was because of the way I was carrying them and I handled them with care, but it's like other people are having that happen to them, and they say they don't do rough stuff with their makeup. I don't rough up my makeup either, but you know, like, that's an issue that they're having, so I don't know if they're going to be able to fix that or not. But I really love the color story of this. I use this quite a bit this year. I actually want to pair this with the next palette I'm going to talk about, and I think you should definitely try it out. So this is the Fenty Cosmetics Warlock palette. I heard a lot of people saying they didn't necessarily like these two dark mattes down here. I didn't have an issue with the two dark mattes down here, so maybe it's just me, but I love this color story as a whole, and this is the one that knocked the Rogue palette off for me because I feel like this will pair so nicely with the Moonfall palette. I still haven't done it yet, but I need to. But honey, this palette is stunning. If you like a nice jewel tone moment, I feel like this would be a nice one for you. I feel like this would pair nicely with like some of my other jewel tone palettes as well. But I'm going to just start off with the Moonfall because that's the one I'm most excited about. I need to go get a battery, y'all, so we can finish this up. I feel like I've been sitting here talking forever, but y'all asked me to rank all of them, so here we are. I'm going to get into the last set of palettes after I go get a battery because, girl, it's a lot. Girl, it's a lot. Okay, so we at the end. We in the last stack. So these like the last stacks were like my top tier favorite out of all the things I tried this year. So we're gonna start with my Cleon Cosmetics Deep Sea Treasures palette. If y'all have not seen, the brand posted me wearing this palette on their Instagram page. I think it was last week because it's Sunday now. So like last week, I think it was like Wednesday or Thursday, they posted me on their Instagram page wearing this palette. I only own this and the one that we did with Emily Violet Marie. If they make more palettes, I will use more palettes from them for sure. It's just I hate trying to get in the line and then try to pick through all the stained glass shadows and all that, which is why I just have this and the other one. But it's not because of their quality. It's not superb. As you can see, mine is dirty and well loved. I love this palette. I used it at least 4 or 5 times this year. Again, y'all know that's a big deal because what, I have to review palettes every day. I mean, we're reviewing 75 and I'm still missing like 3 or 4 here because I told y'all I'm missing the Flirty Talk, which would be in this top ranking here. I'm missing the 2 other Pat McGrath Quints, and then I'm missing it's one other palette I'm missing. I told y'all in the beginning, but it's been so long ago till I forgot. But next I have the GlossGods The Color of Rain palette. I am obsessed with this palette, y'all. Like, y'all know I love a blue, green, purple shifting moment when it comes to my shimmer. So this palette is definitely giving. I'm definitely lifting. I'm obsessed and loved and raptured with this palette. I have used this at least 4 or 5 times as well. And y'all know I don't usually do a lot of shimmer palettes, but I don't know, these shimmers just do it for me and give me such a gorgeous look. To like I constantly reach for them, and I can't wait to try some more stuff from GlossGods. They have one called What's Your Power or something like that. I want to get that one as well. It looks stunning. I saw my Angie and I was like, yes, I need it. And I still have like 2 more palettes coming in the mail that I'm not gonna have time to use this year. So I got like 5 or 6 palettes I haven't even used at all. I know, who am I? But next I have the Shroud Cosmetics Peaches and Dreams palette. I remember when I used to always use every single palette. I don't care if I just used it once. So I'm gonna try to get to that this week and just use all the ones I haven't tried yet this week when I go to work, and next week, and then call it a day. But this is what it looks like on the inside. Stunning shade. Y'all know I live for the shade Succulent right here. This shade is my favorite shade out of this entire palette. I love it. I live for it. It has some great shades in here. This is just one I have to use as a companion palette, but again, y'all saw the Moonfall palette, so I would pair this with the Moonfall palette and make some nice looks, or just pair with another palette. Like I might pair this with the Sickly Sweet palette and see what comes out of it as far as that goes, because that does have some deeper shades, and I can use these lighter shades and shimmers and then use the topper shades as inner corner. So I'm gonna have to eventually do that. I think I had them paired together. I just end up not being able to do it yet, but I have used this at least 3 or 4 times as well. So the ones you see here, mainly I have used like 3 or 4 times. I've done 2 or 3 looks with it. I think the only one I haven't is the Natasha Denona Yucca palette that we're going to talk about now. But I just did this based upon the quality. This quality is better than all of her other palettes she came out with. If y'all can't tell, I repressed that matte orange and put it here just because I wanted a matte orange in this palette that was like more on the brighter side, because I feel like this one's really dull and I feel like this one's kind of dull. So I wanted this fun bright one, and it was like this more neutral shade here that I knew I wasn't going to use because I had this neutral shade. So I just took it out and did it. But this quality on this palette is superb. This is the same quality as her other good midi palettes. It's just this color story is the best midi palette that she came out with this year, so that's why I got put toward the top. But it's, you know, the other quality, the other one's nice. It's just the color stories aren't hitting for me. So next we have the ScoX Glamlite palette. Now when I first tried this, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was exceptional. Then I used it about like 2, 3, 4 more times, and I was like, yes, okay. Because every time I look at this palette, I feel inspired to come up with a look. Like I feel like it gives great colors for you to use and make great eye looks. I am like everybody else, so I don't like the fact that there's so much empty space, because this is kind of big and it's kind of annoying to have a palette this big. I don't really like big palettes. I like more of the Blend Bunny size palettes because it's kind of big, but it's not like it's wide and it doesn't take up as much space because the rows are closer together. But we understand like all the characters are supposed to be shown in each row, so that's why it's bigger. But the quality of this is really nice, and I love the color story, so that's how it got to be where it is. Next, I told y'all was another Juvia's Place palette. This is it. This is the Culture 2 palette. Y'all know I'm always inspired by the Culture Collection palettes. I think I ended up doing 3 looks in that video. I don't normally only do like 1 or 2, but I think I did 3 because I liked it so much. I love the color story of this. I love this palette so much. I think it's simply stunning, stunning, stunning palette, and I am so glad I got my hands on it. I've used it like 4 or 5 times. Again, that's the theme of the ones at the top. I've used it about 4 or 5 times at least, and they definitely give, with the exception of Natasha Denona, but again, I told y'all why when it came to that, it was more of the quality when it came to that and the color story preference. And I know, you know, Natasha be hidden in these streets, so that's how I got to be higher up. This is my all-time favorite Glamlite palette of this year. This is the Brick and Morty palette. I love this. It's like a neon rainbow, and I was here for it. I was just like, yes, give me the neon rainbow. As soon as I saw this, I was like, I know I need that palette. I know I'm gonna use that palette a lot, and I have used this about 3 or 4 or 5 times. Again, you hear the theme, but I just love color stories like this, and the fact that this one was still available and like my Vitality one wasn't available was another reason I was reaching for this a lot, because I feel like I would reach for Vitality just as much as I reached for this, but since they don't sell Vitality anymore, she still hasn't come out with the mystery box palette as a palette on its own, is why I was reaching for this quite a bit, because it was something that was still out that I could use. And I hear you can actually find this at TJ Maxx right now, because I'm so jealous of whoever found it. I know my girl Midnight Blush on Instagram, she found it at TJ Maxx. I still haven't found it at my TJ Maxx, because if I do, it'll be a surprise bonus for you all in the giveaway, because I love this palette. It is amazing. This is definitely like by far my favorite Glamlite palette of this year. Next, we have my Arrow inspired palette from Adept Cosmetics. I told y'all they were going to be higher up again. I have used this palette at least 3 or 4 times. The dual chromes and multi chromes in here are amazing. And I love the tones of green that she chose to like make this palette. And I have not seen this show at all. This is supposed to be based upon a show called Arrow, I'm told. And this is the Arrow inspired palette. But the color story is definitely giving an I Am Living. So I don't know what Arrow is, but they have great colors in the show that shone through in this palette, and I am in love. So I will definitely be using this more coming the next year, but I used it enough this year in my personal opinion, considering the amount of palettes that I have. Next, y'all know my Seahorse was going to be here. My Seahorse is my #1 palette from Adept this year. It'll be this one, then Arrow, then Sumerian, then Element 115, just because I haven't used Element 115 that much. I'm sure it would be higher up if I had used it more, but I have not. So, and then La Cienega would be like dead last. But yeah, this, look at this. Like, these pastel shimmers are everything. I feel like these are perfect inner corner shades, lid shades. I feel like this would go great with my Succulent palette. I'm sorry, not my Succulent palette. My Peaches and Dream palette. I feel like this would go nice with the, believe it or not, the Sickly Sweet palette, because I don't like the shimmers in there. So this would be perfect to pair with that. I need to pair this with that as well now. But y'all, like, I know this palette is high, but to me it was worth every penny. Like, do you see the dents I have made, and I haven't even had it that long, and I don't really reach for shimmer palettes like that? Honey, the Seahorse is where it's at. Like, if I recommended any, I told y'all the order I recommended the ones I tried this year, but y'all saw Seahorse was on top. But I knew Seahorse was going to be on top, because she's just everything. So this is my favorite Blend Bunny collection this year. This is the Lure palette. I feel like when you see the inside, you shouldn't be surprised. This is the Trolls Quad. I just paired it with this because it came out with this, but this is what it looks like on the inside. It's like those dual chromes that are black based shimmers. I think they're really nice. This quad is a little bit pricey though, but I mean, like, since you pay high prices for Pat McGrath quads, I guess it's not too bad. I don't know. I just thought it was high because it was so tiny. Like, it literally fits in the palm of my hand, and it's like $75. So I was just like, that's just high to me, but it's great quality and it looks nice. And I like the fact that it's a quad on its own, so then that way you don't have to like reach for a whole palette if you want to get like a dual chrome real quick and you have a neutral look you're doing. So it works for that. But this Lure palette, honey, like, this is a mermaid fan lover's dream, a blue, green, purple, pink, and neutral situation. And I like this sets 2 different kinds of blues. So you got the more turquoise blues, then you got the traditional blues, then you have some nice pinks and some greens and some purples, and then you got the nice little neutral sets for people who still want to do an everyday look and get a little more use out of this palette, because I know everyone can't wear these colors on the everyday. So I like that she put some neutrals in there, and for the people who are scared of color but play with every now and again, I feel like this would be a good palette for you if you like these sorts of tones. Like, everything in here is amazing. I love every single shimmer in here. I love every single color in here. I love this palette, y'all. It is amazing, and it is my top palette from the brand this year. So I'm trying to put my stuff back in order. I hadn't finished my best of video this year, so I'm like, I gotta finish that up. Next, we have the Planet Spirit palette from Batty Bean. Yes, I really did like this one this much, so this is high up. But you know, like, I love me a colorful moment, and look at the colors in this. This is stunning. Like, you can have a nice little sunset moment with this part of the palette, or you can just go in with this part of the palette and have like a pink and green moment and have a lovely color story of each side. Now this one is more of a companion palette to me. I like to pair it with Tina the Fancy Faces palette because it gives me a great you know, colorful look to it, because Tina's palette has those darker shades that are lacking in here, and this has a lot of transition shades, and then they both have these nice like special shades that they put in these palettes just for this. So I really loved Betty Bean's palette the best, so that's what I went with. Next I have the Merry Christmas and Christmas Eve palettes. Of course, since they launched them again this year, they were going to be in here again this year. I used both of these at least 2 or 3 times this year because I did tutorials on them, and then I used them with the other palettes that they came out with this year in the video, and then I just did looks with them off camera to put on Instagram with the other palettes along on their own. So So I like the Merry Christmas one a little bit better than Christmas Eve, even though the shade Gorgeous in here is just what makes this palette so stunning to me. But I like both the palettes equally. I've still been using and loving both of them. I hope y'all got your hands on them this year, because I doubt they're gonna bring them back for a 3rd time. Girl, they're not gonna keep playing with y'all. So you better get it together, and I hope you grab it, because I'm not gonna be nice this year and not play with mine anymore because y'all didn't get your hands on them. So next I have Angie Utenzi's collection up here next. I knew there's a lot of Utenzi at the top, but you know, I like me some Utenzi. So there you go. So we're gonna start off with the Trick or Treat palette. Like, this is the shade I was telling y'all about that I felt like looked really similar to the one in the what is it, Stone and Rock palette, because it has like a nice blue shift to it that you can't necessarily see when I'm holding it this way, but it has that same blue shift that their metallic green shade has. But I like the color story of this. If you don't necessarily like the the Merry Christmas palette, you might like this one a little bit better. I have shown them side by side before in videos and compared them and give y'all a whole lot of detail going on when it comes to this. So you've seen it plenty of times. I don't need to keep showing it again, girl. But I really like the color story of this pretty well, and I feel like it pairs really nice with the Merry Christmas palette. However, y'all know which one stole the show for me. It is the Little Ghost. Little Ghost is the most important one to me, but since I use both of them pretty often and pretty consistently, I figured I'd just put them together. But Little Ghost I like just a tad bit more than that one, just because it's more of my color story. It's got the blues, it's got the purples. I love when she does these little pops of yellow, and then she has her like peachy tones that she likes to put in here, which still go nicely with some of the stuff in this palette. So I feel like it is a great combination of colors together, and I like both of these palettes. I think this was a great collection that they came out with, and I'm happy to have it in my collection. Here y'all, we on the top 3. So we have the Ensley Reign Twisted Tea Party palette. As soon as I saw this, I was in love. I was like, yes, I need this palette. I know I need this palette. I'm going to have this palette. And I made sure I went ahead and got it. Now, I had to get it on the pre-order because I ended up missing when they actually launched it. They launched it at like random times. Like, y'all know I work at night, so it's like I'm sleeping in the daytime. So a lot of times I have to set alarms to get this. And I think like I missed the alarm on this, or I waited too long to get up to like order it. So I did pre-order for this and then pre-order for the Harvest Moon you all saw. But I did get the Land of Enchantment on time. But I think that's because it launched on a day I didn't have to go to work. So that's the only reason I got it in time. But I love the color story of this. Like, I love how they have this like little mustard section here, and then they have like this black to help deepen up all these things, because they didn't really give you that much depth to go with it. So I feel like I appreciate the black when there aren't lots of shades to use for depth in the outer V. Then we just have a lot of dual chromes and multi-chromes that look really nice, and there's like nice little rows you can pair together to make nice looks. I think this is stunning, and this is like easily one of my favorite palettes from them. I like every palette I got from them, but you know, crap, y'all, that's what I forgot to bring. I forgot to bring Strawberry Moon. I don't know how I forgot Strawberry Moon. That's like the very first one I tried. So we gonna say Strawberry Moon goes right here where we are right now. Honey, the color story of that palette is amazing. Like, it looks so stunning and beautiful. It has like lots of rainbow tones to it. Do I have my phone over here so I can show you? Because yeah, like, I don't know how I forgot Strawberry Moon, y'all. I guess because they've been coming out back to back to back with so many palettes till like that one wasn't like on my radar, because I literally had to do an eye look with one of theirs today. Like, I'm wearing their what is that palette called right now? I'm wearing their Lands of Enchantment palette right now. So I think that's why I wasn't really thinking about it, because I had tried that one in like the middle of the summer, I want to say. I'm trying to find it right now. No, here it is. Strawberry Moon Honey. Strawberry Moon is everything. So this is what Strawberry Moon looks like. I mean, doesn't that look like a me color story? Like, look at it. Yeah, so we're going to put Strawberry Moon right above the one I'm about to talk about. Look at how gorgeous that is. I mean, that screams a me color story. A lot of the shades at the top don't look as blue as they do on this picture. In my personal opinion, because in the picture it just looks like a whole bunch of blues at the top. It's not a whole bunch of blues at the top, to be honest. There's some other shades in between there, but honey, that palette is just so stunning. I don't know how I forgot it, but we can make it in the top for sure, and I won't bat an eye. So this palette is one of the palettes I have on my eyes. So this is the Winter Wonderland palette from Cosmic Brushes. If you can guess which eye, then you know. But I haven't put that video up yet. It should be up by the time you see this though. But yeah, this is what she looks like on the inside. Honey, it's giving I'm living. I'm obsessed with this color story. Y'all know I love a blue purple moment. So the fact that I got a blue purple moment with this palette is everything. This shade Winter Solstice is just everything. It is quite stunning. I like the majority of the shades in here, and the finishes and everything that's palette comprised of. The mattes work really nice. The dark mattes are very pigmented on the outer V, because that was a concern of mine with some other palettes I have used in the past. Like I told y'all with the Utensai one in Makeup Just for Fun, like the purple didn't work well, but all the dark matte purples in here work nicely and they give great pigmentation. So I was happy with that, and I love this color story. I feel like this is definitely giving winter vibes to me, so it's a lovely winter wonderland. Number one is the other one. I battled this one on my eyes. This is the Lands of Enchantment from Ensley Reign Cosmetics. So I tried this year as well. Like I literally tried this today for the first time, and I am in love. I have done like 3 to 4 eye looks with this already just for the video, so that tells you how much I liked it. The fact that I was that inspired to do that many looks. So this turned out to be number one. As you can see, it gives a little bit more than the Winter Wonderland, which is why I like it a little bit better. I like the fact that you get these like pinks to go with the deep purple tones. Then you get these blues to go with the lighter blues, or you can put the blues with the purples. I feel like you just get a little more of mixture, and I like the fact that you get pastel shades to use as airbrushing shades that are really nice over the top. Not that you don't get that with the Winter Wonderland. I think I just like the fact I can do pink and green looks with this, in addition to like blue and purple and pink, or blue and green and pink. I mean blue and green and purple, or just blue and purple, or just like purple and whatever. I like the extra touch of the pink that they added to here, and I feel like that's what makes this palette makes me like this palette a little bit better than I like that one. So that ends this video finally, girl. I feel like I've been sitting here for 3 hours. I swear, y'all, I started this video, it took me like at least 45 minutes to organize all these and get them together, and then I feel like I sat here for like an hour and a half just talking about all this stuff. So hopefully we can edit it down a bit. I make no promises, because I still have to go to work every day, and I only have one day to film, since I give myself grace and don't film on Fridays anymore. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. Comment down below and tell me if you're surprised of what was in the last 2 final stacks, because I feel like those shouldn't be any surprise. I feel like I talked about them a lot. I feel like I put them in videos. I feel like I talked about them when I talked about my top 10 favorite indie brands this year and all these other videos I've done. So I feel like I gave you a good hint about what I liked throughout the year and what was gonna like secretly kind of be toward the top. But you know, you can comment down below and tell me if you agree or not, or if you tried any of the stuff I talked about and they're your favorites of this year too. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be blessed, girl. Bye.